You're trying to run too quickly. You're like trying to run away from stuff. I remember the meeting. Because he's such a nice guy, big guy, Tony. Such a big guy, very like big stature. And he just said to me, look, we're going to start off. I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm just every week, we're going to have meetings. And he just started talking to me about stuff. Started talking to me about money, started talking to me about like relationships, started talking to me about my life, and that's how my path of self-development and improving myself started. Now, let's bring it back to the original point about anxiety and stress. Here is the issue. When you start digging up graves, what starts to happen? Skeletons come out. You know that saying? What's that saying? It gets worse before it gets better? Yeah. That was me. Here's one of the things that ended up happening. In order for me to begin to look at my life, and what was part of what was making me angry, part of what I blamed my mum was because when I was growing up, every time I would ask my mum about my biological dad, she would cry. So this isn't my mum's fault, but I learned that asking about my dad causes my mum pain. It's a trigger for her. Here's the problem. The meaning that I made out of that is my mum is keeping me from finding out about my dad. So I began to get angry with my mum. Here's the thing. So I then progressed, and I'm at the point where I need to start deconstructing this stuff. Here's the problem. A huge chunk of my life was around my biological dad. Grief. I never grieved. And I didn't even know you could grieve somebody who you didn't know. Here's something that I found out in therapy. Have any of you ever heard of ambiguous loss? Ambiguous loss is when you lose something that means more to you than something that shouldn't mean as much. So, for example, the loss of a dog, the loss of your neighbor. Ambiguous loss was when the queen died. People didn't know her, and people went into mourning. Don't really like her too, right? Somebody who comes to church, you don't know them personally, but you saw them for the last 20 years, and you go through grief yourself. You don't even know what's going on with you. That's ambiguous loss. You cannot know your biological father, and here's what I learned, only because I've had so many men come into therapy. This will be interesting for the women, actually. I discovered that one of the things that if you find men who are homeless or in prison, or who don't have access to their kids, and you trace it back to what happened, one of the events that usually triggers it is when their dad dies. There's something about a man's dad dying that seems to spiral men out of control. And I was like, why though? So I asked men in therapy. This is what they said to me. Because I'm now responsible. I'm the only one. There is nobody else. So what basically they feel is, I have a heavy duty. I am the heritage of my family. That's a heavy burden to carry. So when I started digging these things up, I needed to speak to my mum. Here is the problem. You can be you know what everyone said to you? You can be liberal, but your family might not be like as progressive as you are. My mum had not gone through her healing or wasn't ready at the point where she wanted to start to delve into the past. So I'm there saying, what happened to my dad? Because I didn't know what happened to my dad. I was like, well, what was he like? How did you meet him? Why didn't he want to be like this? I know this you will probably be like, oh, your mum will be so happy for you. You're finally looking at the stuff. You know, you're finally healing Cassim. Fantastic. Your mum, no. Because this then caused her to deal with stuff that she didn't want to deal with. Somebody in this room knows what I'm talking about. There's conversations you want to have, but you can't have them because they're going to cause even more trouble. You're going to unearth skeletons. And I'm saying to you that some of your kids, you say, oh, Cassim, they don't see what's going on. I disagree. Kids may not know what's going on. They may not have the language, but their body feels it, their energy. I always say to parents, if you want to know who senses it, I don't want to the B word, right? Who can sense crack? Teenagers. You just turn up to their room, you don't even touch the door. You touch the door and you knock up. I don't know, what do you want? Right? They can sense it. They haven't even done anything. They're so, because they don't have yet the language or the emotional capacity to explain things, but they can feel it. And what's happening is a lot of the kids that we're getting on our website are for things like this. These things. They're showing up. Loneliness. But how do you speak to your parents about loneliness? Guess what they're going to say to you? Get some friends. You know? Here's a very common one that I hear. Every time I tell my dad that I'm depressed, he tells me I need to go and read the Bible. I've been reading the Bible. I'm still depressed. Now what do? I've heard about these antidepressants, but my mom said we don't do that stuff in the house. So now the child is torn. Where do they go? You see what I'm trying to say? Now they're stuck. They can't talk about it with you. They can't talk about it with their friends. But they're hearing about it, so they just shut down. And when that anger and frustration, so you say, I don't know why my daughter is so angry with me. And you really have no idea. Because they don't even know why they're really angry, but they've never explored it. They don't have anywhere where they can talk freely without, here's a key word, judgment or shame. Or the other one is minimization. Or the ones that usually the girls say to me is, I don't want to tell my mom because every time I tell my mom, she's going to make a really big deal out of it. It's why people come to therapy. I always say to people come to pay me to just listen to this. Crazy. I stood there. I remember the first session I became a counselor. I sat there and this woman, I said, so what's brought you to therapy? How can I support you? She then starts talking and I said, yeah, tell me more about that. And I walked just by and she said, thank you so much. It's been amazing. Oh my God, you helped me so much. And I was like, I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. But what I discovered about therapy isn't, and this is one of the other things I wanted to come to you. Talking isn't just talking. Talking is thinking and processing. In order to process something, you can either write poetry, write a song, you can go to read the Bible, you can do people's hair. All of us have different avenues that will process things. But if you don't process it, it stays in you. And this is, now I don't want to get into this, but this is when you start looking at the tantra and the body and stuff like that, a lot of people's pains, chronic illnesses, are actually from stuff unprocessed trauma. But they're like, oh, no. And they're like, oh, it's because of my job. No. It's stuff that your body, remember, anything that's happening with your body is basically your body. You've ignored your spiritual side, you've ignored your psychology, right? You've ignored your emotions, and now the body says, fine. Alright, Mr. Clever. Since you're so clever, now let us take this to a different lead so the body kicks in. And then the body now tells you through a heart attack, and you're probably going to see this a lot more. Have you seen the amount of people who are calling in sick recently? Why is everybody so sick recently? They're stressed out. But when you go to your boss, where do you go to tell people you're stressed out? You don't. You don't. As my mum, I discovered from my mum, because I said this in my book, my mum's life has been full of survival. My mum's never thrived. I discovered that because I've done the work on myself, I started to thrive. A lot of us in the black community, our issue is we believe that success is survival. I will challenge you on that. I think success is thriving. Going beyond where your parents were. What's the point in you suffering when your parents suffered for you? Why? It makes no sense. If you had a terrible, before I came here, on the way here, I was listening to a woman called Jane Fonda, You know, Jane Fonda? And she was telling the story of her father and how her father, she'll never forget this, her father, one day she went to a place in America called Greenwich and she was using the word Negro. And her father, the only time her father would have slapped her across the face. And her father said to her, don't ever use that word. And she said, why? And her father explained to her. Her father grew up with a granddad, and there was one good thing that the granddad did, which made the dad, Jane Fonda's dad, really quite passionate about this. One day, they took a black man into the middle of the square in America, and they hang him, and then they put a rope onto his feet, and they would drive around the roundabout and drag his whole body around the roundabout. And Jane Fonda's grandfather forced the dad to watch what was happening. I don't know if she was just saying this in the interview. And what I'm saying is, he carried that all his life. But he used it, of course, later on in his life, activism against racism. And I'm saying to you, some of you, you've come from difficult backgrounds. Your life hasn't been easy. Some of your relationships with your own family haven't been easy. How are you using it in a positive way? Fine, you didn't have money when you were growing up. Okay, so how are you using it now in a positive way? And the reason why I'm saying this to you is because one of the reasons why so many kids are struggling is because their parents are hypocrites. Oh, anything is possible, son. Let me study your life. Oh, come on. You know, you should be a good person. Do you know what one girl she said to me? Where was it? I was in Croydon, at Kensington Avenue. And I had all these little year 6 kids sat in front of me. And I said to the kids, okay, kids, I want you to tell me, if you were being bullied, what would you do? And this little girl said to me, oh my God, let me tell you a story of my mum. And she said, I went to a new dance place, and my mum drove me there, and a woman cut her up. And when we parked up, my mum saw the woman. My mum got out of the car, went up to the woman's window, and she started punching on the window. And the kids, all these little kids were saying to me, oh, my mum's told me that if someone does something to me, I should punch them. I thought, I said to the kids, has anybody else ever heard this? And loads of them said, yeah, me, loads of them. So, what I'm saying is, the things that you're telling your child, are you practicing them? You know? Oh, you know, you can trust people. Does your behavior support that? Really? Does it? And this is the contradiction to the kid. Most people tend to think about mental health, kids struggling, because they have a broken leg or something major. A lot of their pain is confusion. School is saying to me that I should accept people, and they're having all of these things around acceptance. But then I go home, and in the house we're saying, we don't do that, we don't believe that, we don't bring that person, we don't. One kid said to me, a Chinese child, I was in Richmond, he said to me, my dad said to me that I have to be friends with this boy. I said, why would your dad say that to you? He said, because my dad said that family is rich and that boy is clever, and I should be around people who are like that. Richmond. So the kid has picked up that I can't be friends with people based on how they make me feel and who they are on a human level. I have to be friends with them based on their status and where they're going. And of course there's an element of that. You know, you're the average of the 5 people you're around. But is that really what we're teaching our kids? How are they going to value, when they get to become leaders, what are they going to be teaching the rest of their kids and their employees? It's just something to think about. So, part of the reason I'm saying this is, at our website at COOF, kids can come and speak to us about absolutely anything. There is nothing too small, and the reason why I say this to you, particularly for boys, is because when we work with boys, the biggest thing that boys say to me in assemblies is, well, I haven't got a broken leg, well, I haven't got ADHD, but I haven't got... Basically, resentment, frustration leads, catches up and accumulates, and then down the road something terrible, loads of pressure starts adding up, and then they access mental health in the justice system. I am here to ask you to support me to stop that. Get them to talk. If they don't want to talk to you, get them to come talk to us. Now, I know some of you in this room, you're going to be saying, Hassan, I'm a fashionista. Hassan, I'm a football fan. I've got the latest tickets. My life is brilliant. Some of you are going to be saying, Hassan, I like anime. I'm a movie fan. Some of you are going to be saying, Hassan, I bought the Vivienne Westwood necklace. I bought the new Chloe perfume recently. To be honest with you, I don't even know why the church invited you. My kids are perfect. My life is amazing. I've got loads of support. If my kids was really worried, if my sister's kids was really worried, then come and speak to me. So I'm very motivational, very inspiring, fantastic. Very nice. But you really wasted your time. And what I would say to you is that this is what's going to happen to your kids. The trials that are going to come against you might not be coming from your household, they might be coming from outside of your household. Social media, Instagram. Let me tell you one of the ones that you want to look out for, because it's emerging, because we're seeing it. Reddit. Forget about Snapchat, forget about TikTok, Reddit and Discord. If you want to start looking for the ones to protect your kid against, are they on Reddit? Are they on Discord? That's the new Snapchat. That's the new TikTok. Watch it. Because basically they're unsupervised. They don't have the same, they're American. Anything that's American is unsupervised. They don't have, England, our laws here about kids, when they access are very strict. Their laws are different. And the kids are starting to be in groups. And what scares me the most is particularly the girls. Because what the girls are starting to do, which is how it came to my attention, is they're starting to share their medication. Oh, Reddit and Discord. They're starting to share, because Discord, you can create, like, in WhatsApp, you can have a private group, like just the family. That's basically what you can do with Discord. So they're congregating, they're having cohorts of kids. Can you imagine if you've got a bunch of girls who are all self-harming and they're exchanging ways to self-harm? That's what scares me. Right? Yes. So this is why I say to you, you want to just watch, because it may not be your household that's going on. It may be they're being reached from outside of your household. Stuff is going on. And it may not just be you, because they may be being affected by some of the other kids in church. I'm not saying this is you, I'm just saying it could be. Right? What else? And I've said about the social media. These are the platforms. When I come to this. Okay, so my brother used to play for Chelsea, and he now plays for Swansea City. His name is Bashir Humphreys. And he plays for England as well. All the parents were invited to go up to St James's Park, which is where all the England teams train, and we could ask the head coach questions. He started giving us some of these figures. He's like, oh, we get thousands of kids come from the academy, most of them don't make it. And I was like, well, if you have all these thousands of kids, well, how do some of them make it to become professional? And he said to me, because of this word. What's the word, guys? Yeah. You've seen the wisdom? You've seen the Matrix? What is the whole theme of the Matrix about? What is the word? Which is about what? Choice. Choice. He said the choices that the kids make determine what their future. And the reason why I'm saying this to you is because parents ask me this: how do I sell it to my kids? How do I get them to talk? Use this, their mindset. Okay? Their mindset, kids understand mindset. They all know it helps you become successful. Right? And you're talking to them, explain to them that by their mindset is going to be affected by things that are going around them based on how they feel, based on how they think, based on what's going on in their life. The head coach explained to me that a lot of the kids who make it to Chelsea Academy, they come from Dubai background because of their mindset. Usually